Welcome back to Football Daily, where with this summer's Euros just around the corner, let's take a look at 10 key developments and talking points ahead of the tournament. Let's go. 10. Löw's final shot, never write off the Germans. Following this summer's tournaments, Germany head coach Joachim Löw will finally step down after 15 years in charge of Die Mannschaft. Since taking the role in 2006, he has led the side to at least the semi-finals in 5 of 6 major tournaments, winning the World Cup in 2014. But having lost to Spain in the final of Euro 2008, Löw hasn't been able to get them there since, so it's perhaps no surprise to see him make one final roll of the dice. Following the disappointment of Russia 2018, he decided to axe Thomas Müller, Mats Hummels and Jerome Boateng from the Germany setup, focusing his attention on bringing through younger talent in the build-up to 2020. A decision which left Müller, in his own words, dumbfounded. But after a 6-0 defeat to Spain in the Nations League and a 2-1 loss to North Macedonia in World Cup qualifying, Löw decided he did need the extra experience, recalling both Hummels and Müller for this summer. It's a wise move considering Müller has come off 2 of his greatest ever seasons in club football, not to mention his superb scoring record at major tournaments. And with France and Portugal awaiting in the group of death, he'll need to be at his very best. 9. The Golden Generation. Across the border, there is also a sense that an era is coming to an end. Once home to the greatest batch of young talent in Europe, Belgium now has a side full of players either past their best or getting close to that stage. Roberto Martinez's final squad includes 10 players who are either 30 or over, accounting for 38% of their 26-man list, while Yuri Tillemans and teenager Jeremy Doku are the only squad members under the age of 25. Even Thomas Vermaelen, who turns 36 this year and has made just 30 appearances for Japanese club Vissel Kobe over the past 3 seasons, somehow made it in, while captain Eden Hazard is coming off a nightmare 2 years at Real Madrid. However, with Courtois, De Bruyne, Carrasco and Lukaku all very much in their prime, and with a 3rd place finish at the World Cup to build on, not to mention the fact they're still number 1 in the FIFA rankings, the Red Devils are still a force to be reckoned with. But even so, this may well be the Golden Generation's last real chance for silverware. 8. The return of Scotland. The Euros this year features a lot of the usual suspects. All but 3 of the teams at this summer's edition qualified for at least one of the previous 2 tournaments. But with Finland and North Macedonia both making their debut, Scotland are the odd one out, having not appeared at the Euros since 1996, and the 98 World Cup was their last major tournament full stop. The last time they even made it to the playoff round was back in 2004, where they lost 6-1 to the Netherlands. But this time round they came through, beating Israel and Serbia on penalties to claim their place, with veteran keeper David Marshall the hero on both occasions. One of their awards is a showdown with the old enemy England at Wembley, a rerun of their famous clash at Euro 96 in which Paul Gascoigne scored a wonder goal within a minute of David Seaman saving Gary McAllister's penalty to seal a 2-0 win for the Three Lions. Manager Steve Clarke will be hoping to right the wrongs of 25 years ago in a game which at the time of writing is set to see over 2,000 Tartan Army supporters make the trip down to London. And with home advantage in other fixtures, as well as a squad containing the likes of Andy Robertson, Kieran Tierney, Scott McTominay and John McGinn, they are certainly capable of making out of Group D. 7. A unique Euros. This was already going to be a Euros like no other, with host cities scattered across the continent as opposed to 1 or 2 countries welcoming teams and fans for the month-long event. But in the wake of the ongoing global pandemic, this has become even more of a difficult tournament to run. Despite talk of the tournament being moved to the UK, which has rolled out a huge vaccine programme in recent months, UEFA decided to stick with multiple cities, with Dublin and Bilbao pulling out due to not being able to guarantee hosting spectators. And of course, some stadiums will be more full than others. Baku and St Petersburg are planning for 50% capacity, while Budapest could see all 61,000 of their seats in the Puskás Arena filled for their games against Portugal and France. And then of course there is the issue of travel. A recent report in Germany expressed concern for players rejoining the national setup, with the government having recently announced a 2-week quarantine for residents entering the country from the UK following the outbreak of the new variant, although this could of course be a situation which changes in time. With even some fans back in the stadiums to watch the finals, the Euros will no doubt be seen as somewhat of a victory given the events of the last 18 months, but it has also laid bare the huge difficulties which still face the world of sport and entertainment. 6. Record breaker. Despite going off injured in the 2016 final, it was images of him motivating his teammates from the sidelines, overshadowing manager Fernando Santos in the process, which still sticks in the memory most clearly despite Eder's excellent winning strike. And the Juventus star will no doubt be keen to lead his country to a 2nd successive crown. If he succeeds, Portugal will become just the 2nd side to retain it after Spain, and it's no surprise that he's also on a more personal mission this summer. On 103 international goals at the time of writing, CR7 is just 6 away from matching Iran legend Ali Daei's world record of 109, and on 173 caps is 7 away from matching Sergio Ramos's European record of 180, something he can no doubt catch with his former Real teammates watching the tournament from his sofa. With Ruben Dias, João Cancelo, Bruno Fernandes, Bernardo Silva and João Felix now all established members of the squad, Portugal go into the tournament as one of the teams to watch. And with such talented creative players supplying him, Ronaldo will be confident of scaling new heights this summer. 5. The new generation. But while a veteran like Ronaldo is chasing yet more records, there are a number of players who will be looking to write the first chapter of their international careers this summer. The youngest star who could genuinely have a big impact on the tournament is England's Jude Bellingham. With Jordan Henderson a fitness concern, the 17-year-old is in contention to start for the Three Lions this summer, and he's proved at Borussia Dortmund he already has the ability and maturity to thrive on the biggest stage of all. Among the 18-year-olds worth keeping an eye on, there is Spain wonderkid Pedri, who has made waves with Barca this term, and Germany's Jamal Musiala, who has impressed massively at Bayern. And then there's Portugal's Nuno Mendes, who is a key player in Sporting Club's Liga NOS title win. We'll also hope to see Ajax midfield dynamo Ryan Gravenberch take the field for the Netherlands, while Feyenoord star Orkun Korkçu is on the fringes of a very exciting Turkey squad. It's fair to say there's a huge amount of young talent to watch at this summer's tournament. 4. Changing of La Guardia. As we've already alluded to, one of the biggest shocks of the Euro squad announcements was the omission of Sergio Ramos from the Spain setup. Having taken the captain's armband from Iker Casillas in 2016 and worn it as recently as March, it seemed unfathomable that the legendary centre-back would miss the summer's tournament despite his recent troubles of injury. However, La Roja head coach Luis Enrique went for a bold selection this year, deciding to name just 24 players rather than the 26 allowed, and taking Adama Traore over Marco Asensio, despite the Real Madrid winger having had a much stronger season than the Wolves man. Along with the omission of Nacho, as well as Carvajal for fitness reasons, it means Spain will feature no Real players at a major tournament for the first time ever. In fact, you'd have to go all the way back to 1950 for the last time only one Madridista made the plane. And despite the side's injury crisis at right back, Enrique also chose not to take the experienced Jesus Navas or young star Pedro Porro, instead opting to bring Cesar Azpilicueta back into the mix after 3 years. Weirdly enough, we could even see Marcos Llorente play there during the tournament. However, a big coup for him is Aymeric Laporte, who after years of being snubbed by Didier Deschamps was able to change his allegiance from France to Spain. Enrique will hope his gamble plays off similarly to Luis Aragonés in 2008, who won the tournament despite facing huge backlash over his decision to leave out the legendary Raúl. But if it backfires, expect to see the Spanish press get their knives out in full force. 3 and 2, Finland and North Macedonia. But while well-established footballing nations like Spain will be contesting the Euros for the upteenth time, we will also see 2 sides make their first appearances at the competition. First up is Finland, who qualified for the tournament as runners-up in their group, behind Italy and ahead of Greece and Bosnia and Herzegovina. And who was their hero? Yes, you guessed it, Timo Pukki, whose tally of 10 goals in qualifying was beaten only by Harry Kane, Cristiano Ronaldo and Israel's Eren Zahavi. In total, he was involved in 68% of the side's goals. And it isn't the first time their head coach, Markku Kanerva, has made history, having previously managed the country's under-21s, who took them to their first European Championships back in 2009. And having taken the reins of the senior side back in 2006, he's done a tremendous job, winning 58% of his games in charge of a national team whose last significant tournament was the 1980 Moscow Olympics. North Macedonia, meanwhile, had to come through the playoffs, with veteran captain Goran Pandev, who turns 38 this summer, netting the winner against Georgia, which has brought them to the tournament. Since the breakup of Yugoslavia in the 90s, this is the first time they've got anywhere near a major tournament, and considering they took just 4 points in the 2016 qualifiers, they've come an awfully long way. With Leeds defender Ezcan Alioski and Napoli's Elif Elmas also in the squad, there is some decent pedigree aside from Pandev, but Igor Angelovski's side will no doubt be up against it, in a group with the Netherlands, Ukraine and a very promising Austria side who beat them twice in qualifying. If you're looking for a true underdog to root for, here's your answer. 1. Benz Is Back. Having not played for the national team since 2015 after being accused of blackmailing former teammate Mathieu Valbuena, an ordeal which is still unresolved, Karim Benzema is back in the France squad. Perhaps the biggest story in the build-up to this summer's tournament, Deschamps' decision to bring the Real Madrid legend back raised more than a few eyebrows. Tensions had festered between Benzema and Olivier Giroud in the years since, with many fans using the Chelsea striker as a scapegoat for Benzema's absence, and Giroud himself rejecting a move to Lyon as a result, while the manager has always put team spirit and cooperation above all else, something which could potentially be shaken by the Madridistas' return. But of course, it could also make all the difference. Benzema is in as good form as he's ever been, hitting at least 27 goals in each of the last 3 seasons, and having a genuinely world-class centre-forward like him back in the side could give them the kind of edge they need to win a second consecutive major tournament. So those were our 10 big talking points ahead of the Euros. What do you think? Which one are you most looking forward to seeing? Are you rooting for North Macedonia? Let us know down in the comments below, and as always, make sure you're liked and subscribed to the channel. Stick around on Football Daily for the rest of our amazing content, otherwise we'll see you next time.